Welcome to the vast and endless multiverse. There is nothing comparable to this in any field of science, be it physics, mathematics, or theoretical reasoning. This is a core concept meant to mock the majority of mainstream models that explain how the world operates. Instead, it offers us an endless, shimmering space, constantly giving birth to new possibilities. To date, this is largely due to works in the science fiction genre. Of course, we all understand that the concept of the multiverse is the existence of multiple parallel universes. A certain network of realities interconnected, forming a vastly larger physical structure, within which we are but a tiny part. Those were evenings that walked in tandem, truly gifted in their role as substitutes. That is about bridges, deep holes, quantum phenomena, and time travel. That's strange and hard to explain. Fortunately, there are still people trying to find some meaning in this mess. Today, we are uncovering various layers of meaning in the specific interpretation of the multiverse. Right here, we will delve deeper into the 9 types of multiverses proposed by theoretical physicist Brian Greene. Brian Greene is an American physicist and mathematician. He was born in New York City, graduated from Harvard and Orphos universities, taught as a professor at Columbia University, and was the founder of the World Science Association. He also played a key role in the history of the modern multiverse theory's development. In 2012, Greene introduced a book exploring the hidden realities of parallel universes and the profound laws governing the cosmos. In his speech, he outlined one of the most comprehensive and detailed efforts to explain the multiverse, while categorizing it into 9 more specific types. Many people have seen and debated variations of these categories. Previously, Greene compiled everything in an effort to uncover the true nature of reality. 1. The patchwork multiverse. The gilded multiverse. Generally, this is the simplest type of multiverse among the kinds Greene discusses. The patchwork multiverse theory essentially only requires our universe to be infinite, a viewpoint supported by many. From that point, all forms of parallel worlds could potentially exist. Theoretically, this is entirely possible, because in an infinite structure, everything must happen and repeat countless times, encompassing all possible forms of material existence. Greene argues that the cosmic speed limit, the speed of light, prevents us from perceiving the existence of parallel universes around us. If this is true, one of the key implications is that we are not the only beings existing in this universe, but also share it with other versions of myself. Of course, we understand that Earth-like life can certainly exist, for we ourselves are the clearest proof of it. Thus, in the flickering multiverse, somewhere far beyond the speed of light, our familiar life will one day be reborn. Repeatedly, not just once or twice but countless times, on a larger scale. That law also holds true for planets and stars. This means that within this state of chaos, there must exist other versions of Earth and the Sun, even of the entire solar system, identical to what we already know. In reality, there must exist countless other solar systems similar to our own. Another way to understand it is that if we could find a method of traveling faster than light, we might actually witness this multiverse with our own eyes. Simply put, if we keep going in one direction long enough, we're bound to repeat ourselves. For all other forms of existence, matter, and energy that we can detect within the quantum field, it is merely a tiny fragment among infinite possibilities. 2. The multiverse theory in the inflationary model. Inflationary multiverse. Sometimes referred to as the bubble multiverse, this theory requires us to take the first leap beyond the familiar universe we've always known. The inflationary multiverse theory is built upon the foundation of eternal inflation theory. This theory suggests that, at the deepest level, our reality is continuously expanding, and this very expansion may be the cause of events like the Big Bang, rather than the other way around. Along the timeline of the universe, we know that there was once a period of extremely rapid expansion, occurring in an instant just after the universe was born. In that fleeting instant, space and time exploded at a speed far surpassing light, and a tiny subatomic particle suddenly transformed into a vast universe brimming with vitality and infinite potential. And this initial explosion created the momentum to drive everything, but in the universe, the inflationary process continued to expand and accelerate. This phenomenon did not occur just once. Such inflation is not an isolated phenomenon, but rather a continuous process occurring in various regions at different times. Like kernels of corn ceaselessly popping in the universe's giant popcorn machine. Each nucleus represents a potential universe, nestled within endlessly expanding bubbles across multidimensional space. However, no two popcorn kernels pop at the same time or expand identically when scaled up to the multiverse level. This suggests that each bubble universe form not only exists independently but also carries its own distinct physical laws and parameters. The physical laws we know are universal, that much is true. However, they may not apply to the entire multiverse. Each universe is like an isolated bubble. For instance, somewhere, gravity could be stronger or electromagnetic forces might not exist at all. Meanwhile, another universe could be filled with fundamental forms of matter we have never encountered. 3. Grand multiverse. Originating from fuzzy theory, an extension of string theory that requires 11 dimensions to operate, this multiverse network also posits that everything we know exists merely as one of countless entities on a higher plane. However, this time the universe was a network of 3 million, floating in space alongside millions of other networks, sometimes referred to as hyperspace. Cosmologists studying the cosmic web also confirm that the infinite nature of reality implies the existence of countless other networks, all existing within the same vast, overarching structure. However, an important point to note is that individual networks can connect and interact with each other, thereby creating far-reaching impacts. In our view, it's possible that our universe once collided with another parallel universe. Perhaps we have spent all 3.8 billion years of our existence intertwined with another network, a parallel reality, and in some way, that reality has shaped this world at its deepest level. The multiverse network also introduces entirely new considerations when discussing the possibility of travel between parallel universes. Meanwhile, in patchwork multiverse models and certain parts of the inflationary multiverse travel might simply involve reaching and exceeding the speed of light. In the multiverse, a traveler from the future must move between worlds through physical means. This multiverse level is closely connected to the previous network model but is built upon a more specific idea. In the cyclic multiverse, network universes will inevitably interact with each other in the most profound way possible. Collisions between networks are the root cause of erratic events. Currently, the multiverse possesses a more powerful capacity for energy regeneration, even to the point of being perpetual, as the networks within its structure themselves become sources that generate new universes simply through their existence. The exact mechanism by which network collisions can lead to dramatic consequences, such as creating a singularity that gives rise to life, remains unclear. But if this is indeed the case, then this is a transcendent spatial simulation model, akin to an easel, where creative reactions are continuously triggered and diffused. Of course, this is not the only cyclical model in cosmology. The Big Bang theory was once favored for many years but later gradually faded into obscurity, suggesting that the expansion of the universe would cease at some point, after which everything would begin to contract from that moment onward. Until everything is compressed into a singularity and the Big Bang explosion occurs once again. At that moment, one could say the universe was pushed back into the void. Conversely, the cyclical multiverse theory applies the same logic, but on an even grander scale. Next, we will delve deeper into the theory of shoes. Perhaps the most famous attempt to construct a theory of everything. It proposes the hypothesis that the fundamental components of reality are not point particles but one-dimensional vibrating strings. And this is one of the factors that will influence the structure of the multiverse. Generally, string theory allows for many different modes of string vibration, with each vibration pattern corresponding to a distinct fundamental particle. In reality, space is not limited to just the 3 dimensions and time as we commonly know it, but is also divided into various other dimensions. Then, various shapes can emerge from all the additional spatial dimensions as they are compacted. In reality, there could exist countless different forms of universes. Each of these forms would give rise to an entirely new universe with its own distinct physical laws. The multiverse landscape unfolds countless universes, as if they exist along an endless chain of hills and valleys. In the multiverse, every universe exists somewhere along this structure. Some are more stable, others less so, but none are exactly the same. Everything is unique. From this perspective, our universe merely happens to reside in a small valley within a far vaster landscape, shaped by the fundamental principles of multiverse theory. And the system of physical laws we know is just one of many ways these strings can vibrate. But at the same time, countless other universes exist with their own distinct laws, arising from their unique oscillation patterns and characteristic shapes, resulting in different outcomes. 6. Quantum multiverse. Quantum multiverse. The multiverse with random physical constants is perhaps the most famous and widely discussed among the 9 types of multiverses proposed by Green. The quantum multiverse theory suggests that every time a choice or turning point occurs, a new universe forms parallel to our current one. This theory operates on both macro and micro levels, and is most clearly manifested in the many worlds hypothesis, one of the most renowned theories in quantum mechanics. At the quantum level, due to phenomena such as the observer effect and wave function collapse, particles can exist in one state or another until they stabilize into their final form. But in the quantum universe, it is often believed that nothing truly vanishes as reality takes shape. All possible outcomes exist in parallel along an endless web of different timelines. These points in time, or what some might call parallel worlds, continuously branch off from the world you currently live in. Your own world has also split away from countless others in the past. However, it might be easier to visualize if we expand the scope of observation to a larger scale. Look back at all the choices you made today. What did you eat for breakfast? What did you say to your coworkers? How many YouTube videos did you watch? Whether you scratch behind your left ear, hit the snooze button, or trip right in front of your doorstep, you might think some actions carry more weight than others. But in the quantum multiverse, they all hold equal value, because every action spawns parallel worlds of what could have been. Apply the same line of thought to every quantum fluctuation happening around you, countless times in every second of your existence, and the absolute density of this particular multiverse will become clear. Some universe branches are nearly indistinguishable from the one you inhabit, but with just a brief journey through them, you could instantly arrive in a place entirely foreign. Holographics. The multiverse. This isn't a video about the physical nature of reality without mentioning Lot M at least once, and this is that mention. The multiverse panorama is formed based on the holographic principle, in which our three-dimensional reality can be represented through a two-dimensional plane. Everything we know, from the stars and planets to cars or a loaf of bread, is essentially projected from a two-dimensional structure to create this universe. This passage discusses black holes as a potential solution to the black hole information paradox. This is the perception that information appears to vanish into a black hole and eventually evaporates, even though this contradicts conventional laws of physics. Three-dimensional cosmic light is not the only solution, nor is it even the most optimal choice. But for supporters, the information seems to be lost in a real black hole. It's encoded in 2D form along the event horizon. If a similar model is applied to the entire universe, perhaps this is a continuous process, and suddenly, the multiverse emerges like an intricate film reel being projected. With countless movies playing on multiple screens at once, perhaps more than any other form of entertainment before, it's easy to quickly find them trivial. This shows that, fundamentally, you're not even a three-dimensional entity. However, like all other multiverse hypotheses, it's easy to argue that this ultimately means nothing. Even if life, the universe, and everything are merely three-dimensional images, reality remains unchanged in how we perceive it. 8. The simulation multiverse. Multiverse simulation. This is one of the most widely known multiverse hypotheses, considering how deeply it has permeated popular culture in recent years. The family abandons the simulation hypothesis, proposed by Nick Bostrom, which posits that our universe is first and foremost the product of complex digital code. Everything we know, see, and perceive is merely the product of a program running on a supercomputer in a distant place, belonging to a higher dimension. For supporters, it could even be argued that multiverse simulation is inevitable as technology continues to advance. In the modern world, within just a short span of time, computer simulation games and virtual reality experiences have advanced to a point where they are nearly indistinguishable from real life. This has led many to believe that, in the future, it may become impossible to distinguish the real world from a simulated environment. The idea of a simulated multiverse is essentially just approaching that line of thought from a different angle. If a more advanced civilization or reality existed, that boundary would surely have been breached. What about us? Those who are convinced or deceived by it. If this world is just a perfect simulation, isn't that terrifying? Traditionally speaking, this is an idea that immediately makes many people think of a controller or personal gaming console. There is a supreme being akin to a deity who always observes all our actions, for it is he who created everything that pertains to us as humans. Combine all the potential of simulated reality with the infinite repetition of the multiverse. You will soon discover something even more amazing. If the simulation theory is real and the multiverse exists, then everything we know might just be one version of the cosmic code in an endless flow. Think about the simulated realities we've created, even though they are still quite rudimentary and simple at present. This implies that those who control us created us with the purpose of having us continue to produce and dominate others. Then why doesn't there exist a creator who designed our controller to control themselves while they control us, while we control our simulations? Then, consider that similar sequences must have erupted countless times along endless other chains, and thus we have one of the deepest and densest multiverses imaginable. 9. The Supreme Multiverse. The Supreme Universe. Finally, we have an elusive multiverse, one that embodies the vastest, most all-encompassing concept of all possibilities. In this interpretation, every conceivable universe, with its own unique set of rules, laws, and physical constants, exists within a vast multiverse. Imagine you could gather everything we just discussed in this video, place it on a table, and then tightly pack it into a bag. The multiverse is that very bag. Sometimes it is called the mathematical multiverse and can be directly compared to Mark Tegmark's Level 4 multiverse. Moreover, it transcends any possible limits that could be imposed on any other form of multiverse. In this bizarre scenario, not only do universes similar to ours exist with minor differences, but there are also universes with fundamental disparities, even ones governed by entirely different mathematical laws. This means that every possible logical or mathematical structure exists as an independent reality, residing somewhere within this vast, ultimate framework. In this way, most of us cannot even fathom it, for our narrow vision keeps us bound to this mortal realm. This is the ultimate structure that far surpasses our understanding of physics, as it reveals that the laws of the universe, from quantum mechanics to general relativity, are by no means the most fundamental principles in any way. Instead, we endlessly drift across the vast ocean of theory, swept up in countless patterns of thought. Though highly speculative and imaginative, such contemplation of the universe compels us to re-examine what we once considered fundamental truths about the existence of all things. This sentence evokes profound reflections on the nature of reality and humanity's place in the vast universe. Perhaps our universe is not merely a page in a thick book, but a page within an infinite library. For some, the multiverse is often dark and can even expand into a multiverse containing countless other multiverses, bound only by a single truth. Nothing can limit it. And what about you? What do you think? Among the 9 types of multiverses proposed by Brian Greene, which model do you think is closest to reality? Or do you completely reject the concept of a multiverse in any form? Currently, although the concept of the multiverse is increasingly mentioned in modern science, the truth always lies at its core. There are questions that keep humanity endlessly pondering and forever seeking answers. Why do we exist? What is the meaning of our lives? Is truth an absolute thing? And what does the future hold? The essential point is that we still cannot transcend our own universe to reach the multiverse. But it remains a vibrant idea, urging us to broaden our horizons and reach for new frontiers.